is Kirk.
And this is Byrd. It's the Kirk and Byrd Show. We are wrapping up the 2023 high school football season, and we're going to go over our predictions, our picks, and then what actually happened in all of the classes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the VHSL. So this is going to be fun because I'm going to tell everybody why I was right. Okay, so take notes, get ready. And then I've got our panel of just graders and prognosticators. We've got Jason Sterling, guy who really knows what he's talking about, actually does the research, was a really good football player at Dinwiddie back in the day, played wide receiver. And then we got Jay Gholson, who doesn't know much about football, played defensive back. Jason would have burned him every time, but
I would have worked him silly.
Real silly. And his research is okay. What did Jason say? He doesn't write it down. He's just like, oh, wait a minute, I heard of that school, or whatever.
Or how long's the bus ride?
That's right.
How long is a bus ride?
And we're recording early tonight, so Jay will not fall asleep, which is a big key for us too.
Yeah. But I joke, but Jay definitely knows this stuff. Look, 2 years ago, Jay was just a guy on Facebook, and he was just spouting off, and people were coming to me saying, that dude is crazy. But I was like, he sounds like me. I got to get him on the show.
Hey, if you want to, nothing goes off the internet. Somebody pulled up Jay when Jay didn't understand that Life Christian Academy in Chester, Virginia, and Liberty Christian, he thought they were the same school. So he was naming like 8 or 9 college prospects, and they were like, yeah.
Don't tell Jay. Jay bringing much credibility to the show. Great player. Also the voice of Freedom Football. 2-time defending Class 6 state champion. He's also does a lot of, he does baseball, basketball. So welcome to the show, Jay.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, my co-host, Kirk Hilliard, Phoebus, Virginia Tech grad, and kind of the guy that, tries to keep us straight and be professional and all that, So thank you, Kirk. I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone that has been tuning in, been watching the show, whether you agree with me or disagree. I love the feedback because I got to be honest, I learned from some of you. I actually learned some information that helps me. And then for others, I go kind of like the J theory. Like if they said, I might have to go the other way. But I appreciate everybody's love, everybody's feedback. This is why we started the forum. Again, I am not a professional journalist, but I am a dude that's been around all these games. I've coached for years. I've been a fan. And this is what, again, I would be doing with these guys without a camera. What I would be doing with you if I was sitting beside you at any of these state championship games, just talking smack, whatever, giving my opinion. So that's what we wanted to bring. And it's really, really, I'm glad that it's catching on and people are enjoying it. So, Kirk, why don't you go ahead and tell folks where they can find us, and then we'll go ahead from there and talk about the games.
Yeah, if you're watching this, you're on YouTube. So do us a favor and subscribe. Please follow us on Twitter, especially you players. We share a lot. We're followed by college recruiters, college coaches. I ran into Tony Elliott and Blanda Wolf while I was down in Charlottesville. It's at the Kirk and Byrd on Twitter. And then I also want to promo on Facebook a forum that's gaining a lot of traction because we're going into basketball season. And that is the 703-540 Nova High School Sports page forum community. South Lakes is the front runner to win the Class 6 State Championship, and Patriots right behind them. So we're going to have a lot of hoops coverage. One thing, shameless plug, is on Rusty and I are recording an episode on NIL with Kevin Jones, the former #1 recruit in the country out of Cardinal O'Hara in Chester, Pennsylvania, Virginia Tech running back, first-round pick, Pro Bowler. And then Brendan Hill. Brendan Hill came in with Marcus Vick. He's from Warwick High School, Newport News guy. He is the NIL director at San Diego State University. Why should you watch that? Because, guys, look at all this momentum that high school sports is getting. and look at the attention and the media and all of that. And in the Commonwealth of Virginia, high school players can sign NIL deals and make money off their name, image, and likeness. And we're going to have two experts, one with an NIL firm, Triumph, and that's Kevin Jones, and then Brendan Hill is at San Diego State University. We'll be releasing that probably next week. So there we go.
And we're doing a series of 3. So we've already released one. So make sure you go back and check that out with Mark Jefferson and Jefferson Sports Enterprise. Go back and check that out, because that was actually a really informative show about NIL. And so we're doing this 3-part series because this is relevant to some of our athletes right here in the state of Virginia, but also for you parents. And then just so you know a little bit more when those topics come up and you're having those conversations. So let's get into it. Kirk, let's start with Class 1.
Yes. Guys, there were 2 games with unbelievable finishes, and this was one of them. It was Essex and Galax, and this one went down to the wire. Front runner, we all picked Essex, and this was a game that ended on a field goal from 42 yards out. Freshman kicker Yandel Vera made a kick. Only his 3rd kick this year. He didn't kick a field goal until the regional finals. It hit the crossbar and fell down. Was barely, but that's all that matters. It tumbled in. Obviously, that's going to get a lot of attention. Galax, congratulations. Essex was the heavy favorite. That was a great ball game. A clutch, guys, I think you're 14 when you're in the 9th grade in the fall. So clutch kick by Yandel Vera, and we all went down on that one. We all picked Essex. So great game.
Second game.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
before we go to Radford and Riverhead, Jason, there was some information you wanted to share.
Yeah, I caught wind today, guys, and just condolences real quick to Coach Jones of Essex. From my understanding, shortly after the game, there was a medical emergency in the stands with someone connected, possibly a family member of Coach Jones, which I believe unfortunately ended tragically. I don't have all the details and certainly wouldn't go into that without, speaking to his family, but our thoughts and prayers certainly go out to Coach Jones and the Essex community there, Rusty.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Thank you, Jason. I'm glad we were able to say that. And so if you guys could keep that family in your prayers. We compete on the field and we kind of talk trash, but we are a family. We are all, people that love these sports, especially Virginia high school sports, coaches and fans. So thank you, Jason.
Yep.
Puts winning and losing into perspective real quick. So the Class 2 game was Radford and Riverheads, and Radford prevailed in that one 39-21. Landon Clark, the quarterback that's going to VMI, had a big game. They had a lineman that had a pick 6. I think the story of this one, guys, was Riverheads had some turnovers at key points in the game. So this was one that Jason and I picked Radford, and Rusty and Jay picked Riverheads. That ends Riverheads' streak, but what a run they've had, and good for Radford. It's been 51 or 52 years. They won back-to-back in 71 and 72. So Radford's a great program. Very happy for that program. And that was a good, great couple of games down in Salem at that stadium.
Yeah.
Right?
That quarterback, Landon Clark, had 66 touchdowns on the year.
Wow. Yeah.
66.
I've watched him play. Yeah, he can play. He can play. He can run.
He's a great defensive player, too.
Yeah. He can run. He can run, definitely. So
yeah, but you got to give Riverheads a little props. Like they moved up from Class 1, made it to the state championship game in their first year at that Class 2 level, and they played well. They represented, to only lose by 18. I think that's great. So congratulations to Riverhead as well.
Yep. For sure.
Okay. Class 3, moving to Liberty University, which is where the 3 and 4 has been for the last few years. Liberty Christian defeated Lafayette 28-14. That was a game. Gideon Davidson had a big game, offense and defense. This went as expected. We all picked Liberty Christian, and hats off to Danny Rocco and that program, Liberty Christian. We often say stuff about they recruit. That's not the kid's fault. It's not the coach's fault. That's how they do things. So, and that's a great program. They've got 2 kids going to Clemson in their junior class of 2025. And I got a feeling that's we're going to be talking about Liberty Christian in class 3 again next year. And that's very relevant to the programs that we know in like Brentsville, Lafayette's and the PD. So that was a great game.
And I don't want to take anything away from Liberty Christian, but when you think of a couple of factors here, they played at home. Like they were literally
That's
at
a big
home.
deal. Yeah.
They didn't, like Jay said, they didn't have to get on the bus, okay, and take that trip from Lafayette. The other thing is, their line is pretty big for a class 3 line. A class 3 line, and there is a lot of talent. And we're not going to condone or talk about the kids because they can recruit. Because really, if we really want to do a whole show, and we can talk about everybody recruiting, just different ways of doing it. But I think there is something to be said for the fact that they were at home, and they won. But I'm going to give my 757 former PD program Lafayette a lot of credit, because I didn't think it would be that close. And that 28-14 is not bad when you consider, their record. Liberty Christian played a very tough schedule. Lafayette, I thought they represented very well. So congratulations to Lafayette Rams as well. A great season.
I think also if LCA played in Division 5 or Division 6, they'd be in the Final Four.
Maybe. Very well could be. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, they're good. Mm-hmm. They're good. There's great players down there.
They beat Salem.
Yeah. There's great players down there. And what, we know this because we're in the Washington, D.C. metro area. But hey, private school, you can get a sponsor for a kid. He can be anywhere. You can give him rides to school, all of those things. And it's all within the rules. And you don't hate the player, hate the game. Hey, it's the way things are going. So, I mean, there are some great football players within a 75-mile radius of Lynchburg. Lynchburg's always put them out. So, I feel for Glass, Heritage, Salem, and those teams that have to compete with that. So moving on to 4, it's funny because I don't even have to look at, my sheet. Another miracle finish. Probably a little better than the class 1 finish, but in class 4, Phoebus defeated Salem 21-14. And this was a game that was close, as we thought it would be. And Salem scored with, I believe, less than a minute left and converted a 2-point conversion. And then Phoebus got the ball and scored. And when they scored, there was 1 second left on the clock. And it was Phoebus was pinned deep in their own territory. Maricus Banks took a sack deep in his own territory. I've had some guys say that was a very heady play because that deep in his own territory, to turn the ball over would have been monumental, especially with what happened in the next play. So hats off to Maricus Banks and his father who follows us. We appreciate that. But Phoebus was able to hit Keontae Gray over the middle, crossing pattern, a lot of traffic. And it was 21-14. And they fair caught the kickoff because you can do that. And there was one play with 1 second left. So hats off to Phoebus. 10th title in, I believe, 22, 23 years. Coach Blunt, that's a 3-peat. Guys, their winning streak is at 35 games. All right. 52 is the longest winning streak. I don't know if that's the longest winning streak in state history, but that's the Phoebus. So they would have to win out, I believe, next year and the year after to match that streak. And they still wouldn't. They'd have to go another 2 or 3 years. But, clutch play. Freshman left-handed quarterback. We're going to hear a lot about him. I think Penn State, Poindexter came by. Coach Poindexter came by to see him the other day. And Rusty, that turf was good because Keontae is fast and that Phoebus speed showed up, right? So you picked Salem. And I just want to say this about my partner.
Crazy.
Salem was very close to winning.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
not crazy. Come on. And I was telling Anthony Robinson this. I was like, this is good for Phoebus because they're going to get back in the gym and work on next year. But they had it coming. A winning streak, the Pete Rose, Joe DiMaggio hitting streak. The pressure is there, right? A no-hitter. The games kept getting closer and closer. And quite frankly, I thought they were, superior to Salem with talent. So we'll get to that. But key win for Phoebus. And Rusty, everybody from down there wants to hear you. Let's talk about the fact that Phoebus prevailed. They made a clutch play. And let's give Salem credit. That kid, Peyton Lewis, was held to 84 yards. So I'll let you take the floor, Rusty.
No doubt. Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
First of all, two things I want to say. To lose like that is the worst feeling in the world. The last second of the game, and you're done. Season over. Remember, the defensive back, you have to play the receiver, not the ball, on the last play of the game. The guy went for the ball. The DB went for the ball. He missed it.
Jay.
Hey, hold on.
Hold on, Jay. I know where you're going, Jay, but that was all coaching. I wasn't in the stands. I didn't have the perspective. But if you didn't have some type of prevent with 4 people standing across that line, that goal line, they had no other option on that.
If I have to go into a sudden death overtime, by the way, with Phoebus or Salem, and I'm going with Phoebus all the way.
Jay, I'm not saying that, to criticize you in terms of what that player should have done, but I'm saying he shouldn't have been in that position to begin with. Other thing is, you got to coach and know there's only one thing at this point that can beat us. So it's 80, what was it, 90-some yard touchdown pass? Weren't they like
80,
on the
It's 80 plus.
80 plus yard touchdown?
86.
There's one thing that can beat us, okay? So I'm going to have the players back. But the second thing is, and I've taught this to my DBs, just pass interfere. It's only going to be 10 to 15 yards depending on how you do it. And so I'm just saying, that's what you do.
One other thing that comes into play, that kid, Reek, threw an NFL pass. Right? He threaded the needle. And he's 15 years old. Give him credit. You look at that play, there was a lot of traffic. All right, he threaded the needle. That's when they talk about pro football players can throw a ball through a window 40, 50 yards down the field. He made a great play. I agree that the safety was out of position. How do you let that happen? But that also was an incredible play by Phoebus. So
Yeah, it was. And now, back to what I was saying. Look, for all those who think I hate Phoebus, didn't want them to win. Look, I am from Hampton, Virginia. As I said before, my dad coached at Phoebus, coached football, okay? In the school system for 40 years. Everybody calls my dad coach. And look, but the thing
he had a chance to go to Phoebus. He was afraid he was going to get beaten up, is what it was.
No, because y'all didn't win any games when I was in high school. But this is the thing.
We beat you your senior year.
My senior year, first time ever. Yeah. This is my thoughts on this are, if you really want to get into this, the thing is, I actually was kicking knowledge both games. I originally picked Phoebus, and if you remember, I did because I said the thing is, I thought Phoebus had a better chance of losing to King George because of the receivers.
I think King George is better than Salem.
Yeah, and I thought Salem, you should have beaten them. And I said that because they're playing because they were playing into Phoebus' strength. Phoebus' strength is that defensive line and linebackers. Yep. And they were equipped, not just one or two players, maybe like Salem had on defense, but they had a team of players built to stop a running game. So Salem's style of play was perfect for Phoebus. It was perfect. All right. So I said that on my original prediction. Now I changed because Brandon was just kicking whatever. This is what I'm bringing you guys. I'm looking at the games, breaking stuff down, giving you facts. This is a Phoebus prediction. Phoebus by 50, the P by 60. The P. Rusty don't know what he's talking about.
If you
Rusty
question
crazy. The P.
anything,
You don't know, but actually,
you're hating.
You won on the last real play of the game.
Yeah.
I was more right than any of you. I didn't want to be that right, but I was more right. You were losing going into the fourth quarter against King George. I was more right because you didn't beat them by 50.
Everything that you're saying
but
will
guess
not
what?
be.
None of that matters.
Right.
You won. But,
Exactly.
Look, I'm giving you some perspective. I'm giving you bulletin board material. I hope it helps. But I'm just saying, I might know a little more about football than the people that are kind of talking. Okay, go ahead, Kirk.
In the VHSL record book, everything that you said will not be in there. And, hats off. It's very hard. Phoebus has won 4 in a row. Mm-hmm. And they've got another opportunity late 2000s. It was Stone Bridge who a lot of people said they should have won 9 out of 11. But you have to give credit. Yeah, they could have lost. Hey, they were losing to King George 13-12. And I'll hate on the P. Everybody was like, it was the refs and this, that, the other. Hey, the score is the score. So, but you also have to give credit. You have to give credit. There's a lot of talk. Their fan base is on their kids probably more than up here. I think the way they cover it on social media and all those different things. So, but yeah, no, I mean, Phoebus could have lost, but they didn't. And then
they didn't.
Way,
and that's good. That's
right.
good.
And by the way, they had a lot of starters coming back, probably about 12, 13, 14, and a freshman quarterback who got to play because of an injury. So, and we know there's a lot of movement in the off season. That's the way high school football is now. So, hats off to Coach Jeremy Blunt and our buddy Anthony Robinson, Paul Jackson, all of the assistants down there. But
Kirk, I think it shows something to trust a freshman quarterback.
Yeah,
backed up deep in your own territory with a game on the line when you could easily, take overtime to, for Coach Blunt to allow him to go out and try and make something happen, man. That takes some stones to be able to do that, as you guys know. So I think the thing that gets lost in this game, though, the drive that Salem put together to go down and tie the game.
To go down and tie the game.
Yeah, exactly.
4 minutes left.
2.
Nobody drives the ball on Phoebus. Let's be honest. They went down. Peyton Lewis, it doesn't sound like a lot. He had 5 carries for 27 yards on that drive. 27 yards against Phoebus is like 150 yards.
Yeah, because he averaged less than 3.
I know. Think about this. And the only pass Salem completed in the game was on that drive, a 30-yarder to Chris Cole, who took the ball away from Ricardo Underwood, who had a clear interception. And Cole was so strong, he pulled it away from him to get another first down to get him down inside the 10. So Salem showed that grit, guys, that they show. And then for Phoebus to come back and put it in the hands of a freshman quarterback, it's a game you hate to see somebody lose.
Yeah. And surprisingly, I didn't see that, but I saw most of the second half. But it was why I didn't see, maybe I just didn't pay attention. I didn't see that the Salem kicker, who I thought was pretty reliable, did he miss the extra point? Did they go for 2? I didn't see what exactly happened. But did he to make it 7-6? What did he just miss the extra point?
I don't know at the beginning why they had to go for 2 things, but they converted the 2 too. I mean, they needed all.
Yeah, that's what they converted the 2. That made it exciting. It was, again, you got to give both teams, both kids, both coaching staffs a lot of credit because they didn't give up. They did what they had to do, both to drive the length of the field and score when needed. I think a lot of people just thought it's going to overtime.
All right, so we don't want to show our bias. We're talking too much about Phoebus, but Marika Spanks, bright future, left-handed quarterback out of the PD. We've had a pretty good one in Michael Vick. But our buddy, very quiet, reserved, doesn't have much to say. Dustin Johnson has trained Reek for years now, so hats off to them. So moving on, another game, Maury and Stone Bridge. Was the twilight game, 5:30. It was a beautiful day in Charlottesville, except, Jason, it rained for a couple hours, and then the rain went away, and it was a beautiful evening, nice sunset. And Stone Bridge played a heavily favored Maury team. And the thing is that, we all predicted, don't count Stone Bridge out. Don't count Stone Bridge out. And Jason is so good at giving game summaries. All right, this one ended 45-34. Fierce comeback back by Stone Bridge. We're going to have a lot of commentary on this one, but Jason, just give us a talk about the ebb and flow of the game, and especially some big injuries from Stone Bridge.
Yeah, I tell you, two major things were on display in this game for me, guys. The super athletic talent from the Maury team was on full display
Crazy,
Saturday
man.
night.
Woo.
I mean, there is absolutely no doubt, no denying that. I mean, you cannot watch that game and think, they're not one of the best teams in the state. I mean, if not,
Absolutely,
right there with Freedom.
Absolutely. They're better than I thought they were.
They are. But the other thing that was on the other thing that was on display, though.
No, they're not better than I thought they were. Maybe you. But
But
the other thing that that was on display was that no quit attitude of Stone Bridge, right?
Yep.
I mean, Maury raced out to a 25-point lead in this game. With that quick strike offense, I think strikes quickly. I mean, along with Freedom, I think they're the most dangerous offensive unit in the state. I mean, those two teams stick out from an offensive standpoint. Maybe Freedom a hair more, but they're close, guys. They're the best screen team I think I've seen in probably 5 or 6 years. Frankly, they execute those screens to perfection.
Flanker screen is very hard to throw.
You have to be able to tackle one-on-one, and if you don't, they're going to kill you and take it to the house, just like they did in that first series with LeBron.
Yep.
Look, this game could have easily been a lopsided game the way it started, particularly when Stone Bridge lost their starting quarterback, Brandon Pena, late in the first quarter to an injury.
Yeah.
Miles Turpin's their emergency quarterback, as you guys know. He went out shortly thereafter, and he doubles as a strong safety for them, so that hurt them a lot.
Arguably their best player, Jason.
Arguably their best player. So Coach Thompson had to pivot to bring Jordan Kaiser, who's their wingback / slot receiver, into the entire second half to take most of those snaps.
Jordan did a great job.
Standpoint, yeah. I thought he handled himself very well for never playing quarterback before, and actually helped rally these guys in the second half. I mean, they got the ball back with under 7 minutes left, just trailing by 11 after that block kick in the end zone for that safety. But to Maury's credit, they clamped down on defense. I have a couple things about Maury here. And they ate that clock up on that last drive too, which hurt Stone Bridge. But a couple guys I think that I really wanted to highlight, I thought stood out in this game. Fred Johnson from Maury, who's going to South Carolina. He's a matchup nightmare, both offensively and defensively.
Yeah,
super big kid.
Big.
Just a freak of nature when you see him out there. So South Carolina's got themselves a great player. And here's the other thing. If there were any UVA scouts at this game, and I'm sure there were, Kirk and Rusty, I would quickly get offer letters. I know it's early, out to Artori Newkirk, the quarterback. He had 6 total touchdowns. Yeah, I know he's only a sophomore, but he has a chance to be one of the best ones to come through the 757 in a long time, guys. And I would also sit there and write a letter to the Stonebridge wide receiver, Naeem Gladding. Gladding had a scoop and score. He had a pick. He had multiple tackles. He had an unreal one-handed tip catch against 3 guys down the sideline where he tiptoed in to really get this game tight. So that was a phenomenal catch. But look, at the end of the day, the athleticism of Maury, they're a crazy good football team, lots of talent all over the field. So congratulations to Maury. That was a hard-earned title that they picked up on Saturday.
I would just say this about Maury. Talent-wise, top to bottom, all 11 guys on the field, they definitely can hold their own with a Freedom Woodbridge. They may even be better. We want to talk about this game, but I would take Freedom slightly over Maury, but I was very, very impressed. I think Freedom plays together as a team better, but there's some guys that we didn't mention. That kid, LeBron Bond, is 5'8" and is unbelievable. I'm a Hokie, man. Get all over those guys. They are so good. Leon Fatman Clark and Kendall Daniels and those guys. And this was a big game. We can get into the whole who's the best thing, but Maury had a bad taste in their mouth, losing on the last play of the game 2 years ago. They came in determined. They marked this game on their calendar, and they delivered. They beat a very, very good team. And it's a team, I told you guys this. I thought they should have ran all over Stonebridge. I thought they should have crushed Stonebridge, and they didn't. And Stonebridge was handicapped.
You thought that because of what everybody says. Because what you hear. If you watch them, and if you do real analysis, they didn't play. They played a tough non-district schedule.
They
And I
played a
give
great
them
schedule.
crazy credit for that, but I give Stone Bridge credit for that too.
Yeah.
Like, and it's the same thing I was saying about Phoebus. Like, look, we're not really professionals, but I was saying this, like, I wasn't impressed. Now, somebody could say the same thing if that was their first time seeing Freedom, but I give Highland Springs a lot of credit. They never quit. The thing I would say about Maury is you're right. They had so much talent, they prevailed. And what I mean by that is this. People talk about Maury because they were putting up 80, this and that, putting up big points in the playoffs, but they won the game by 11 points. But they only scored 13 in the second half.
I'm
going to say that again.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
They were outscored. I don't think I want all of my 757, especially those Phoebus fans who are defending Maury. And first of all, I picked Maury.
We all picked Maury.
I picked Maury. I don't dislike Maury, but my job is to sit here and say what could happen. And let me say this. Jason, again, yeah, because that's what I had even people up in the press box saying, yeah, but 5 years, nobody will know. Yeah, they won't. They won't. Everybody's got a story. But the reality is people get up and they talk. They have no clue what they're talking about. It was not Maury by 60. Maury got 13 points in the second half against a team whose two best players, two quarterbacks were gone. And I heard people saying, yeah, but Phoebus lost their quarterback early. It's not the same.
That's the most points. That's the most points scored
on Maury all year.
2018.
Since 2018.
5 years.
And all I'm saying is you're discrediting a lot of people when you think you're discrediting me by saying Maury by 100. Like, come on, man. Like,
well, the other thing
that's your fandom. I appreciate it.
Right.
But you actually, again, like with Phoebus, I was much more right than all of you. Not just the fans, but even some of our friends in the media.
I told at halftime. I challenge anyone. We have 200 and what? I don't know, 15 episodes. I challenge anyone to find one iota where we've talked negative about an individual player. We don't do it. Also, we may say a team played poorly. We may say something like so-and-so did not have his best game. There's no need to do that. And if we're picking you to lose, it doesn't mean we disrespect you. Lauren White, the coach of Brentsville, he ought to love me because every game I pick him to lose, he wins, and we laugh about it, and I go up and shake his hand and all that. So the thing is, somebody's going to be picked to win, somebody's going to be picked to lose, and Maury's got a great program, and they got 16 starters back. So we're talking. Yeah, we're talking a little bit about next year. And by the way, Stone Bridge has got some nice pieces coming back. Christian Evans, Tristan Putnam, Brandon Pena. They're losing wideouts. They got a system.
Yep, no doubt. And again, congratulations, Maury. I have family in the school right now. I have family coming to Maury. I am a Maury fan. But all I was saying is there is a reality, like you cannot overlook a team because you just think we're going to win because we beat everybody else. And that's all.
I don't think they overlooked them. I think their fans did. I think Maury knew they were in for a tough battle.
Oh, yeah. No, and that's what I was saying, even on my conversation with Eric Gibson, the quarterback that won in 2019, is just like a person that knows football knows, hey, this is going to be a dogfight. And that is the thing. And we're getting to go into about Class 6 is never counted out Highland Springs. Never. Yeah. Because we know Coach Lauren Johnson is all that and a bag of chips. And so we're going to go into that game next. But again, congratulations, Maury. I am extremely proud of you. I got love for both programs. I got respect for the kids in those programs. I really do. I really, really do. And so there's a tremendous accomplishment, not taking away from anybody because somebody didn't have their like it's all love. Like I want you all work hard, get better, and let's see who can come back and do it next year. Nothing but respect.
Say this. I was on the field and I was talking to Coach Windows, RJ Windows at Independence, And I went and did something. I think I went over to the Maury side to get some better photographs and all. And I came back and I said, doesn't it seem like on their kickoff coverage, covering the Stone Bridge return, that they're just running through everybody and closing? Because I just said the same thing. And it's like, that's the thing. On the running plays, when I was sitting up there with you, Jason, I said, oh my goodness, Stone Bridge has got a good blocking. They're coming around the end. I'm thinking in my head, this is going to be a 10, 12, 13-yard game. It turned into a 4- and 5-yard game. The speed and athleticism and pursuit of Maury is unbelievable. And those guys playing together for another year, I tell you what, we'll have a nice debate on who's the best team next year.
Yeah, you're right. But let me say this. If you know anything, because if you haven't seen Stone Bridge, you might be like, what were they doing? What are they doing? The way Stone Bridge is coached and the way they play, a lot of stuff they were doing in that first half is to set up things in the second half. Right. So you might be going, oh, we're blowing them out of like they were taking some chances. Like, don't forget, they went for it on 4th down in their territory. Maybe they punt and make it a little more difficult. They didn't score when they were in the red zone one time. But look, again, what I'm saying is, like, these were 2 really good teams. You can't take away anything from them. Congratulations. But like, there is perspective on some of this stuff. This is the thing I say. I welcome the trash talk. I love it because you know what? I'm from the 757, and if I wasn't doing it right here, I'd be doing it anyway. I would be doing it. I would be. My brother and I, every week, we do these debates on high school, college, and football. Yeah. I do this with Jay. If I don't know you and I'm just sitting in the stands beside you, we're doing this. So I love it, y'all. I love it.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't get out of hand and, just keep your decorum. But my brain's telling me to say this, so there were a lot of great players, obviously, on Maury. But with those injuries, I just want to say Troy Marquez ran his butt off. And those were hard yards, and he had a very, very good game down on the field level. That game was so physical. And he gained those yards against a team that's almost like a college team. We're at risk of talking about this one all night. Now, talking about another great team. Oh my God. Freedom Woodbridge. And another great team, Highland Springs. They brought a huge crowd, obviously the closest team there, about 70, 75 miles from Richmond. And this was one where Freedom jumped out. Freedom jumped ahead and looked like Freedom was going to dominate. And I don't know anybody that thought they were going to keep doing that. We knew Highland Springs. Highland Springs made some adjustments. Christian Martin had a great game. I was really impressed with the Byrd kid at running back number 22. But they came back, and I was talking to Coach Overton. I said, hey, when it was 35-27, Highland Springs had all the momentum in the world. And I was like, okay, this is the moment. Are they going to tighten up? And they didn't. So hats off. Just
let me add this. 2 things I want to say. 28-0, a team like Springs or even a team like Freedom is not enough to win. You got to score 35-0 to have that to win. Highland Springs made a big mistake, a coaching mistake in the first quarter. I don't get this, why they did this. They're on their own 40-yard line. It's 4th down and 3. And they go for it. Not only that, they're in a shotgun. Of course, they didn't make the 4th down. Freedom gets the ball, and they score like 5 plays later. That there was, to me, was a game changer and a bad call by Lauren Johnson.
Jason, I'm going to talk for you. Jason Sterling, 2 weeks ago, I believe, or 3 weeks ago, said that Lauren Johnson will go for it on those types of plays to see how the team is going to perform when that comes up to a clutch time. I don't necessarily think that's a bad call. And I would say this, Lauren Johnson is working his way up with that program as, close to the Mount Rushmore. I hear you on the surface, because I questioned Coach Thompson in that game 2 years ago against Maury. I was like, man, I wouldn't have went. We were recording. I was like, I wouldn't have went for that one. And he's like, well, I did. But I see the reason. Jason Sterling almost said exactly what you just said. But It's one of those things that they started clicking.
And
Highland
So Highland
Springs.
Springs, they're playing like a like not in Manchester, a 5-5 team. Okay, you do that. But a team like Freedom with those weapons, you don't give them the ball on the 40-yard line and the
It's a
first
good
down.
point. It's a good point. It's a great point.
That just changed the game. Because now 7-0, this ain't no 28-0.
Right.
And then that's when it changed right there. That's why I knew the game was over. It's 28-0.
Highland Springs people, leave us a comment. Tell us what you think about that. Yeah, let us know. I mean, I just thought that, but when they had to execute, they had to execute.
Also the quarterback, Christian Freedom had a game plan that I thought stopped him or contained him. I think he had one complete pass in the first half, if that. So I think Freedom had a defense to contain Johnson. Highland Springs had a defense to basically contain Tristan Evans Trujillo. So I think both sides had good defenses to stop the long passes. From what I saw.
Yeah,
I was watching that fade route that he threw for the touchdown. He throws a really pretty ball. He throws a beautiful ball. He is a big kid. I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. We're going to be turning on the TV and watching him lead Maryland in the Big Ten. But we got to give credit, though. Freedom answered. They answered. Jeff Overton.
They made an offense doing the Wildcat. Overton at quarterback. That was genius.
I was going to ask you, had they done that? I hadn't seen that this year.
They did against Madison last week. Well, yeah, Madison also. So
He's a lot bigger than I thought he is, too. He's a lot bigger than I thought he was, by the way.
Yeah.
I got to see him close up. So, yeah. And Reed had a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yes.
Reed had a touchdown. The line
Jason
was very physical.
I tell you, that quick strike ability. I'm not surprised they got up 28-0, guys. And I'm not surprised Highland Springs clawed back. I mean, that's exactly what those two teams are. I'm not surprised Maury got up big, and I'm not surprised Stone Bridge clawed back. I think what we saw out there on Saturday, both games sort of mirrored each other. The quick strike blitzkrieg teams of Freedom and Maury, just you've got to be able to survive that. Yep. And the other two teams were able to claw back, but they just had too much offense. I mean, these were games where the offenses, were a little better than the defenses that were put on the field. Freedom, Jeffrey Overton. I obviously a couple guys that hadn't seen him. We were sitting there, Kirk, in the stands. Rich and
unbelievable.
And Paulie were sitting with me, and we were all our jaws dropped. And I've seen him play multiple times. And I just said, "What?" There was one run. I said, "Watch it, guys, watch it." And we just knew that he would do everything he could to find the end zone. It was like a 60-yard run, and he did. And you could almost call that before he. When he's a third of the way down the field that he's going to score. And this is against Highland Springs, man.
I know.
Teams,
Yeah. But I think Highland
most
Springs
of the recruiting
had to
services don't have him in the top 15, by the way, which is crazy. You got an Ohio State offer today.
But look, I think if you're Highland Springs, you got to pick your poison. They got 5 guys that can strike at any time. So to me, it looked like Highland, especially in that first half, I thought they made some adjustments after the halftime. It looked like Highland Springs said, okay, we're going to stop the pass. We're not going to, and they played some tight man coverage, and they made it really hard for Tristan. And if you look at it, there were times, and this is again, I'd say people don't understand or know, and Lauren Johnson is one of the GOATs, like no doubt. He is one of the greatest. But Coach Overton and his staff, I keep giving them credit because those brothers can coach. Again, I've been in the press box. I'm doing my job, but I hear them over there, and them brothers are calling stuff before it happens. They're like, look at their setup here, da-da-da-da-da, boom, da-da-da-da-da, boom, and it works. And so I got to give this was a true chess match. And again, I'm going back. I got to say this one more time. VHSL, thank you for giving us this matchup because this was worthy of a state championship game. In fact, I just want to bring one thing to everybody's attention. all of the state championship games were great games.
They
And
were.
I'll say, look, the
Liberty
class
Christian
one
was the only one that wasn't really close. And that's about it.
No, that's
Still a good game. It was a good game.
No, Liberty Christian only won by 2 touchdowns, 14-28. Actually, Radford beat Riverheads by 18, but still.
I think that's the one I meant. That's the one.
Okay, yeah, but still, they put up 21 points. Okay, like, you know, the game that was low scoring, 7-6, but it was a good defensive battle. And then, you know, you've got Phoebus, who normally is beating teams by 100 points, right? They only won by 7 on the next to last play of the game. Maury only scored 13 points in the second half when the team were the 2 best players. They only won by 11. Highland Springs only loses by 8 to a team that was up 28. It was like they were great games. So it might have been stressful for the parents or the players and the coaches, but we as fans, it was amazing. And I just want to give this fact. So the game difference in scores was 1 point, 18 points, 14 points, 7, 11, and 8. That means there was a total difference between all 6 games of 59 points. Most of these teams up here were beating teams by 59 points a game.
Yeah.
You think about it. Maury,
yeah.
Freedom definitely did it, but I'm pretty sure Phoebus would have averaged about beating teams by 59 points a game. So what I'm saying is a total between 6 state championship games, the average margin of victory was 9.8 points per game. It was less than 10 points. So they were great games, and that's what I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate that type of football from all the coaches, the winners, the losers, the officials, the scorekeepers, everybody. Outstanding. Great. Yeah. I mean, that you cannot script it any better than that.
I agree. And that's one thing also I like about Highland Springs. When the game was over, their heads were up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it is. But you battle, you lose, you keep your head.
But Jason, I want to say this also. Jay and Jason, I want to say this. They not only had their heads up, but when people picked against them all week, they didn't feel disrespected.
Yeah.
And I give their fans credit. I'm sure they thought they would win.
Yeah,
and they might not have liked what I said. All year we've been saying, heck yeah, the team that can beat Freedom is Highland Springs. No doubt. Yeah. Some people we're saying Freedom Island, but I wouldn't be surprised if Highland Springs win. And some people are expecting it. But what I appreciate was the intelligence of the Highland Springs fans in terms of during the game, like they didn't quit on their team. They continued to support. And I just thought, man, this was just good old-fashioned fun. This reminded me of Hampton Bethel. This reminded me of just some of the great Phoebus and Hampton. We've talked about it up here. South County, Lake Braddock, Westfield, and Centerville. Like great high school sports, great fun. And I'll tell you the reason I'm also appreciating this is because, and the reason my analysis on some of the teams is you may think it's not fair, is because, and I say it's because high school football is changing, and I'm going to have to do some type of, not documentary, but some piece I'm going to put together to just say, like, I know you guys are proud of your teams, but when you're winning 80-10 or whatever, like, it's just because teams don't have, like, it didn't happen in the past because it just, the talent was spread out. Teams were, more people played football, because that's just changed even more in the last 8 years. But it was more talent roundabout. Like we don't ever remember seeing this many blowouts. There's more parity. And so, I'm not taking away from the teams that win, but don't take away from the teams that lose that way. Because, we should just be thankful teams are actually fielding teams now, because we've seen it up here. So don't denigrate and think you're so much better because you got their kids sometimes, and that's a whole nother show. But I'm just saying, like, look, appreciate what you got. And then I want to see, and this is my prediction for next year. We're going to give predictions on who we think is going to win. But Maury, watch out, because my prediction for the Class 5 state champion is going to be Bethel High School.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Somebody's reaching, guys. Somebody's reaching. Listen, just to Russell,
Jason,
you bring up a great point. I think teams like Salem, Stone Bridge, Highland Springs, the reason they've been to so many state championships and have so many titles is because they've just got that character about them that allows them to get there. It just happened this Saturday. They ran up against Phoebus and Maury and Freedom. And on this day, those three teams were better. I mean, It is what it is. Mm-hmm. But, this narrative could shift in a year. Somebody else might be able to.
Oh, yeah.
It's
hey, Oscar Smith, they're still out there. Like,
absolutely. Absolutely.
They're going to be good next year.
I think you had 12 very deserving teams and you had 6 deserving champions. So,
all right, let's do this. Let's make some predictions. I can do 3, 4, 5, and 6. You guys, if you want to do 1 and 2, and then after that, I got a surprise question for the panel. So I like Liberty Christian because 2 of the top 5 recruits plus the depth that they have. I like Liberty Christian to repeat. Obviously, Phoebus is going to be unbelievable. I'm going to pick Phoebus to repeat. Dinwiddie has a lot coming back. Harry Dalton, Eastern View with Brett Clatterball. That's an unbelievable. But I like Phoebus. I like Maury. Obviously, I love Maury to win. I'm going to pick him again. I'm going to pick Maury to win. I will be shocked if they don't win. On 6, man, Freedom has a lot coming back with Overton, with Juju Preston. There's some other key juniors and sophomores that I'm forgetting. Highland Springs is going to be very good. But you got to look at a team like Lake Braddock, who was in a rebuilding year and went to the state semifinals and has some weapons. And all that talk about Northern Virginia being soft, it's crazy. You also got to look at South Lakes has a lot of momentum. They got things going. They got kids playing football. For all those people in Northern Virginia, youth basketball is the rage in Reston. And football is getting going now. And then you've got some of the other classic powers. Stone Bridge will be in it. And Briar Woods wants to have a say. So, as far as picking 6, I'm going to pick Highland Springs. Gholson. I know. That's why I went to you.
For me, Division 3, it's got to be LCA. I mean, they have 2 guys from Clemson coming back. And they're just big. They're a man among boys. Division 4, I'm going to say Phoebus again. Division 5, I'm going to say Stone Bridge.
Wow. Over Maury?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go, Maury.
Division 6 have Battlefield, who's everybody's come back from Battlefield. They're same team, except for Bink, Bukowski, and Boggs. So they have like 20, they have
10 other guys with BBs in their name.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, you have Freedom. And then you have Highland Springs and Oscar Smith.
Look for Oscar Smith.
Yeah, I think that was a 6. To me, it's a 4-way tie. I can't pick those 4 teams. It's going to be either Battlefield, Freedom, Highland Springs, or Oscar Smith. Will be
Thomas Dale with Shamari Earls. By the way, and hats off to Tom Hall, who retired from Manchester too. By the way, long run there.
Well, I'm picking Highland Springs over Thomas Dale.
That's fine. Well, who are you picking at 6? Who'd you pick?
It's up in the air. I don't know.
You're a wimp. All right, Jason Sterling, who do you like?
I like LCA. I agree with you that I think they've got too much talent returning. There's some other good teams in Class 3, though. I'm going to say Phoebus. I just think right now, I mean, they've got some aura going on that they can't lose. I'll tell you a sleeper, though. I believe Huguenot's in Class 4.
Yep.
Look out for Huguenot. They were very young this year, extremely young. So just a sleeper right there. I'm not saying they're going to get to the title, but that's just the team that I've got my eye on. I think in 5, I suspect you'll see a rematch, in my opinion, between Maury and Stone Bridge. Hard to say right now, guys. I mean, Maury's got a lot of pieces coming back, but I'll probably just take my Bulldogs out there just so they have a good off season to work on. And then I'm taking Oscar Smith right now in 6 with an upset, or at least from where we would sit right now, right? And the reason is, I love what Highland Springs does all the time. I love what Freedom's doing right now. Freedom's losing a lot. Oscar Smith was very young this year, as you guys have talked about. So I think you could see those 3 teams sort of co-circulating for that title over these next few years, and before they, go back to another reclassification and cycle count. But I think Oscar Smith, I'll pick one different team here and put them in the Class 6 championship circle here.
Rusty Byrd.
I will be a robot and just say Phoebus so people will like me. No, I think Phoebus repeats. They do have a ton of talent. We know they won't have much of a challenge until the playoffs. I don't know if they'll play Oscar Smith. It is a disadvantage for PD teams because they have to play 9 district games, 10 teams in the district, and they don't break it up and fight. Like, you have to play 9 games in the district. So they only really get a chance to play 1 non-district game. So I don't know if they're playing Oscar Smith again or not, but I hope they're able to schedule someone this a really quality team. I'm not saying Oscar Smith isn't, but somebody that's good. I think Phoebus will return, but I think that we cannot count out Varina.
Varina, that's what I was going to say, Rusty. Varina in Class 4.
Class 4, Varina got beat by an excellent King George team. Like, King George beat Dinwiddie and they beat Varina. So I'm not saying, okay, y'all, I'm not hating against Phoebus, but a Varina team to me looks like they could be a squad that could really give Phoebus a game. And then when we talk about on the other side, I like Loudoun County to come out in Class 4 and be
County's going to be really good.
Yep. So that's Class 4. Class 3. I'm sorry. I meant to say Class 3. I'm sorry, but for Class 3, I have Thomas Jefferson out of Richmond.
Okay.
I like them matching up with Liberty Christian, and I would not be surprised if they can get by. They can get there. I think they have a chance. When it comes to 5, I think Maury again dominates. But if they overlook anybody, I don't know their non-conference schedule, but if they overlook anybody, I think Green Run will reload, give them more of a game. But I see Maury back in that championship game. I think we get a part, I don't know what this is, 4 Stone Bridge Maury, and I don't know who wins after that. And then Class 6, I like Oscar Smith a lot. I think the Oscar Smith, it could be Oscar Smith against Freedom, and then at that point you never know. But I also I like Mountain View to figure more things out as well. So it's going to be fun because a lot of the good teams are losing some key players, but the good teams also reload. They also reload.
So this is a bridge, and our last topic is I want people to name the top 2 or 3 programs in this century or millennium since 2000. So Jason and I found out that we're fraternity brothers. All right. We didn't know that, right? We don't get branded and all that stuff. So anyway, I was going to point out we're both Pi Kappa Alpha Picus, Tim McGraw, Bobby Bowden. But your fraternity brother, Corey Hairston, on Warwick Boulevard, they're going to have something to say in 5. They're going to be very good. And we did not mention the Warwick Raiders. Right. That's and there's a lot of movement. Some kids are going to go to Warwick to play football. And that's the game now. So I was going to say that. So I'm gonna let y'all go, and I'll go because you know what I'm going to say. Jay Gholson, since 2000, the best high school football program, any class in Virginia, and give me like a runner-up.
I would say Phoebus, runner-up, Westfield.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Westfield's only been open like 22 years, won 5 state championships.
Yeah.
All right. Jason?
I'll go Phoebus 1. 10 titles in 12 years is remarkable. 10 titles, 22 years. Sorry, not 12 years. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
10 titles in 22 years. I would probably, just because of the number of times they've gotten there, put Stone Bridge number 2. We know that 12 championship games, 3 titles. I'll give you a close 3 and 4 though. Here in that time frame, Salem would be one of them, and probably couldn't go back that far. But what Riverheads did with 7 consecutive titles in Class 1. Guys, I mean, that we may never see that.
Yeah.
We might be long gone before we see that again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, and again, not hating Phoebus, but it's convenient that Kirk said the last 20 years, because if we said the last 10 years, we got a different picture.
Yeah, last 10 years, Highland Springs is right in there. Oscar Smith is right in there. I mean, it changes the dynamic.
Riverhead
2000.
3 and 10 years ain't bad though. So
yeah.
No, it's not bad, but I'm not taking away from Phoebus, because we could also go back 50 years, and then you got Hampton High School, and you got a lot. But yeah, 20 years, you got to give Phoebus their props. But if you go 10 years, now you got like probably some of the same coaching staffs. Like it's when you go 20 years, it's not the same coaches. And so football has changed in the last 20 years. So again, Phoebus, 20 years, yes, but if you go 10 years, you can give a lot more credit to what's happened with Highland Springs, with Riverheads, even more, and Freedom.
Yeah, Freedom comes
and Westfield. So, but it's not to denigrate other programs. It's just to give credit to some of those teams that have done, very well. Oscar Smith in the last, 10, actually, and when you go
20,
the last 20 years, I think they've won 4,
Philip Sims,
but they were there a lot.
Yeah, 10
because they lost
10
to
years.
Westfield.
10 years makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
I mean, go back 40, and Hampton's got the number.
Hampton's the overall. I'm going to go Phoebus number 1. I'm sorry. You got to go Stone Bridge, man. They make it to the state final every other year. And people brag about 3 titles. There are people that would kill for 3 titles. Dennis Kozlowski, he did.
We got him.
You think about that, though. You think about how we, and those were unbelievable.
Hold on. If you go, and you got to also include Hilton High School. When you talk about some of these state championship teams, Hilton, they got 3, right?
Yeah.
They got 3.
So
some of the greatest teams overall, like weren't they at one point? I know they had the number 1 player in the country, but weren't they ranked nationally like one of the top teams?
Yeah,
probably. Yeah, I would say between tie for 3rd and 4th, I'd go Riverheads, and I'd go Oscar Smith. Oscar Smith, you will hear about Oscar Smith next year. They're getting ready, and we know that fan base is going to be loud. Anthony Jones. Battlefield is big. They're tested. They're going to come down there and beat Oscar Smith, right, Jay?
And also a newer school. So if you go 10 years, you might have to give the trophy to, is it not Broad Run, but
Tuscarora.
Not Tuscarora. Tuscarora. Yeah. Well, no, they haven't won one. But no, Briar.
Yeah, Briar. Yeah.
Briar's won.
That's coming up on 10 years since they won 3 in a row.
They won 3. Okay, 3 in a row.
Yep.
Yeah.
They lost McSorley senior year.
Okay. They lost, but yeah. So this is fun. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what we do. And now, please politely in the comments tell us where we're wrong. Okay, because
I like how you use the word politely.
Because as a Christian man, I'm not really coming back like I would if I did this.
So.
That's what I was doing all day yesterday, y'all. So everybody said I was scared to comment. I had a busy day of church activities and family stuff. So, but
check out our NIL. Check out our NIL, and we're going to get into basketball. We're going to get deep into basketball. We got a lot of coaches that we know that we'll be talking to. We'll talk to Mike Desmond at South Lakes. We'll talk to Carlos Poindexter at Hayfield. We'll talk to Sherman at Patriot. My brain gets going when I'm starting to remember all these Lamont Struthers at Menchville. It's going to be a great year in basketball. And that's all I got.
All right. Jason, anything last thoughts?
I'll just sum it up, guys. It's really tough on teams that don't make the playoffs. It's tough on teams that, get eliminated at some point in the playoffs. It's tough on teams that don't win on Championship Saturday, that end up taking those losses. Only 6 teams had their seasons in the way that they really wanted them to, right? Now you got 350 teams that are back in the weight room with a chance in 2024. So to all the coaches and players out there, I appreciate them entertaining us for the last 4 months.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to say this season, we saw history with Freedom in regards to those 5 Power 5 players. And it might be another 20 years or longer than that to see a team win 2 state championships in a row for Division 6 for Prince William County. I know Phoebus is a different ball game, different story, but I think we saw history here that we may not see for a long time.
Yeah, no doubt. And I just want to close by saying, look, great year. I appreciate the support that we've gotten, in the community, in the schools. Thank you to the ADs. Thank you to the coaches that are allowing us access. Thank you to the athletes that are coming on to the show. I look back and I'm able to tell people, oh yeah, I had him. He was All Met Player of the Year. Or I had this kid, or what, and I don't do it for me. I do it so you have some way to mark what has happened. Rob from Phoebus, Coach Rob, it's funny. He said on Facebook over the weekend, he said, hey, I was trying to find some newspapers, to capture what happened. And there's, like
physical paper.
I still have my cutouts, of me being in the paper, my picture or my stats. And so, people like, yeah, but you got it online. But look, like being able to cut that out and highlight it, those are some special things. But since we don't have that, I'm glad we have this medium. I'm glad we're able to record, hear it right out of people's mouth. You don't have a written journalist, interpreting what they want to say about you or what they think you meant. So I'm glad we have this forum, and I'm going to use this forum for one last thing. I want to give a huge shout out and love to the offensive and defensive linemen out there who just don't get enough credit. Folks, we talk about Freedom and they're 5 this and that, and we talk about Phoebus, and we talk about Maury, but you know who I got to give a lot of love to? None of those guys could do it without those incredible offensive and defensive linemen. You guys should get all and most of the credit. You don't, because you're not necessarily carrying the ball, but none of them could do it without you. And you can ask any NFL or high-level college player, like, if they don't have the line, it doesn't matter. Like, if they don't have those guys moving the other guys, none of it matters. So my head's off to all of those outstanding offensive, defensive linemen, and that's coming from a fullback who just never got a lot of credit either.
My final top 5 is Freedom, Maury, Phoebus, Highland Springs, Liberty Christian. That's what I'll close with that.
Okay. Hey, there you go. I can't argue with that. But if I will get desecrated because I didn't say Phoebus, number 1. Even though Maury beat them in the scrimmage and Maury beat Highland Springs, blah, 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 blah. All right, look, thank you all for Jason, Jay, Kirk, and the entire Kirk and Byrd Network family. We are out.